Good morning and welcome to Write with Rachel. I'm Rachel and I'll be your guide today. We're live today from my studio in San Diego, California, and I'm improvising everything as I go, including exploring our prompt and writing alongside with you. If you're ready, go ahead and grab your favorite writing device. Maybe that's a notebook and a pen, your computer, or your phone. I also encourage you to journal via the spoken word, by drawing, or even through creative movement. Today's prompt is 1 plus 1 equals, and today on my walk, I picked up two items. First, I picked up this pink flower that I found on the sidewalk. I believe this lovely pink flower is actually considered to be a weed. I also picked up this little blue stone that perhaps came from somebody's fire pit um, or someplace else. It's not exactly a stone, perhaps more of a piece of blue glass. So for today's prompt, let's think about what could we come up with for a prompt when we combine a pink flower and a piece of blue glass. So if you want to take our writing direction in a creative writing movement, let's say that you are out in a field of pink wildflowers when you stumble across a box. Inside the box, you find all sorts of colorful stones. And of course, you decide to take them. When you get home, you look them up and you find out dot dot dot. Another creative writing approach could be that you are someone and you are always looking for the weeds, or you're in the weeds, as they sometimes say it. The in the weeds category means that you are very much caught up in the details. So let's say you're someone who is very much caught up in the details. And maybe in this story, you're trying to solve a mystery and you're so caught up in the details that you can't figure out the final clue, which turns out to be something that someone left behind in a fire pit. Now, if you could just figure out how that piece of blue stone fits in with the rest of the puzzle, dot, dot, dot. If you want to take this in a journaling direction, you could talk about finding beauty in found objects, finding beauty in items that other people have thrown away. You could also take yourself on a journaling field trip and see if you can find 1 to 5 items and then journal about what those items mean to you. For my list makers, you could make a list of everything that flowers and glass have in common or don't. You could make a list of reasons You might find stones in a field of wildflowers. Or you could make a list of ways you could draw a weed or a glass stone. If the sun was shining, if it was raining, if it was windy, and so on. I also encourage you to consider the wild card option. The wild card option is your choice. Anything that came to mind this morning when you saw me show the pink flower, now that the leaves are drooping a little bit more, the pink flower, the root of the flower and the leaves, the stone, the texture of the stone, the way the stone is broken up, the different ways you can see the way it looks from different angles. So there's many different directions you can take. Of course, I would love for you to choose whichever direction feels most interesting for you today. In a moment, I'm going to ring the bell to signal the beginning of our writing time. While you're writing, I also welcome you to take a peek and see what I'm writing on my page. After our 5 to 10 minutes are up, I'll share why I went in that direction and what I was thinking while I wrote it. When the bell rings again, you'll know that the writing time is finished. All right. Is everybody ready? Great. Then let's begin. And this is the end of our writing session. If you're in a good flow, I encourage you to keep writing. I am going to take a couple of minutes and show you what I was thinking about while I was writing. Here's how I interpreted today's prompt. First of all, I started with the idea of the wildflower, and I was thinking about the idea that sometimes wildflowers are so beautiful, but sometimes people call them weeds. So I was thinking about the idea that some people are beautiful, but perhaps they're more like weeds, and perhaps it's sometimes the opposite way. So I thought, okay, let's start with a wildflower, and let's start with a princess. So I start the story with the princess, and she is saying that she wants that flower that she sees in the meadow. And the queen, her mom, or maybe her stepmom, says, "Oh, no, 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 not that one. That's a weed. That's not good enough for a princess." Well, the princess didn't like that answer. She was used to getting her own way. And so the princess picked up a blue stone, throws it at her mother. The stone hits the queen in the head, and the princess screams, "I said," she screams, while the mother's maid runs to the queen to help stop the bleeding. And the queen says begrudgingly, "Yes, ma'am," to the princess. And she thinks to herself, this time the spoiled princess had gone too far. The temper tantrums were already bad enough. So later that afternoon, the princess and the maid went to the meadow to pick the pink wildflowers. The queen begged off to stay home and care for her aching head. Suddenly, a swarm appeared. They heard the noise first, and then they saw that the pink was covered with a thick layer of yellow and black. The buzzing, the stinging. The princess commanded the bees to stop. She screamed, "I said," but the bees would not listen. The maid and the princess were stung over and over and over again. That night, the table was set with dozens of pink wildflowers. "You're right," said the queen, glancing at the princess, who is all swollen from the bee stings. "These wildflowers are just right for a princess." And that's the explanation of my story, my process for today. If you would like, you're welcome to share what you wrote today in the comments. If you'd rather keep it private, that's fine as well. I'd love for you to join me again tomorrow. I host a writing session every weekday, and if you'd like to continue to write together, please subscribe to the channel. The channel is Write with Rachel. Thank you for writing with me today, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.